Tiffany and I? Or no,
No Kara.
no Kara?
We are good to go.
Okay, it is Monday, November 6th. We are in the second floor conference room at 6:45 PM. Perfect. We will call to order the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. Start with introductions.
Alderman at Large Kevin Studick.
City Administrator Jennifer Bergman. Connie Hillman, City Finance Director.
Patrick Wasso, Interim City Administrator.
James Kronvik, Community Development Director.
Therese Burke, Brainerd Dispatch.
Chris Schubert, HR Director.
John Davis, Police Chief.
And Gabe Johnson, Chair of the committee. We have 12 items on the agenda, the first of which is further discussion on the sanitary and storm sewer rates from the presentation we saw
Yes.
last meeting. Connie.
So Dan Kalsbaum with United Financial Solutions UFS presented the findings on the financial projection, cost of service, and rate study design for the sanitary and storm sewer utilities. UFS recommends the proposed rate increases over the next 5 years, and those were listed in the packet, and they're up here on the screen for sanitary versus storm. Staff is requesting direction from council on what to include in the proposed resolution that will be presented to council for adoption at the future meetings. For example, does the council want to do it for all 5 years, only 2 or 3 years? The last time the rates were increased was in 2019. It was in January of 2017 when the city went to a fixed monthly rate plus a consumption rate for the sanitary sewer fund and an REU, residential equivalent unit for storm. Public Works DM prepared a memo describing the previous emergency repairs as asked by Alderman Johnson. And if the council has additional questions regarding the study, to let staff know, and we will discuss with USF.
Perfect, thanks Connie. So yeah, I reviewed this memo for Jesse and we have had nominal repair work over the last 5 years, except for that big washout on Southwest 40.
But it is kind of hard to determine what was emergency repairs, what we did in-house versus what we did out of house and that kind of stuff too.
Okay. So we're looking to give direction, you guys are looking to give direction
Right.
on what we want to see, if we want to adopt this rate or we want to see something different. Kevin, what do you think?
Or if you want to do all 5 years, or if you only want to do 2 years and look at how we're doing and at the end of that 2 year to go into the other, 3 years or however you want to do it. We just didn't want to prepare a resolution assuming this is what you wanted for 5 years.
I think the 2-year option sounds good to me, then we can reevaluate if we have to.
Yeah, I like that because if we're doing 5 years, a new council could come in next year and revisit it anyway, so we should do smaller amounts of time so we can look back and analyze.
So that's what I would do.
Okay, 2 years, and
Yep.
as how it's outlined here.
And how it's outlined there, yes, I'll say I do like volume charges more than flat fees, but I lost that battle in 2017. So is that a motion to go with?
Yes, go with the 2-year option to reevaluate it after the second year.
Okay, so we'll go with for both storm sewer
Correct.
and sanitary sewer, first 2 years of the proposed fees.
Okay, thank you.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Next up, HVAC, it's getting expensive down the street.
Yeah.
Chief,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So attached in the agenda are the plans for the HVAC unit replacement at the police department. Project includes replacement of the existing one HVAC unit with a new gas-fed unit with the addition of a secondary unit for redundancy. To accommodate the construction of the second unit, there's going to be some additional electrical ductwork, structural needs to accommodate both the units. Bid opening is planned for November 29th. So fall of last year, staff had received a budgetary estimate from Thielens for 2 units in the area of $330,000. At that time, council authorized $140,000 of ARPA funding towards the project, with the remaining $190,000 to be funded through 2024 capital. Since then, Whitseth has come on board and they are now estimating the project to be $350,000 for the 2 HVAC units and install. And then in addition to that, the city would need to hire a building controlling vendor to program the building to the new units. Estimate on that is roughly $25,000. And the consulting cost from Whitseth is $38,600. With those figures in mind, that brings the estimated project amount at this time to be $406,600. And a couple of options for council to make up that $84,600 difference would be $64,000 and change in available unencumbered ARPA funds, and then $20,203 in additional 2024 capital funding, or $84,600 in total funding from capital in 2024. Staff would like to present bids to the council at the December 4th meeting. Staff would request direction from the council on the funding for the project once the bid numbers are known. So recommendation before you now is approval of the plans and authorize bidding for the police department HVAC replacement project.
Also move.
I'll second that. So I think there's a third option for 84,000, we could take that out of the police, public safety dedicated dollars, couldn't we?
I hope.
I don't think so, buildings is not
Really?
an eligible
Facilities don't
expense.
count?
No.
Yeah. Okay, well, Kevin, I don't know what you think, but I think we do the first option there with the ARPA.
Okay.
No,
Use the
I
rest
agree.
of our
I
ARPA
agree.
funds and then just
Right.
20 out of 20.
Because if we wait and wait, it's gonna be more anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you, that was gonna
Okay.
be my question too, so.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Thanks,
Thank you.
Chief. Discussion of fees. James.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll just provide a brief summary on this agenda item. So staff thoroughly reviewed neighboring municipalities' fee schedules and processes and made some of the following determinations. As you see in the agenda, some of our fees were updated in 2019. Rental licenses, I believe, were updated 2009, 2010. So with that, staff has really kind of taken a comprehensive look at our fee schedules kind of throughout the city. Some are in ordinances, some are in resolutions. A couple of some of the big ones that we made determinations on was rental license fees are significantly lower from other municipalities. Zoning and subdivision fees are significantly lower. Park dedication, SAC and WAC are significantly lower as well. Something that the administration and finance staff is also looking to do is no longer licensing amusement machines, which would be video arcade machines, circuses, dances, musical machines, roller rinks, theaters, and wrestling, getting essentially rid of that whole ordinance, and doing that through potentially like a special event permit for like boxing matches and wrestling through the fire department and police department. So with that, another thing that staff looked at is a lot of cities adopt resolutions. It could be potentially each year we review it, and wouldn't have to change the fees every year, but something that could be passed by council resolution each year to review it, rather than providing their city code, and that's what many other municipalities do. So before staff goes down the route of drafting the ordinance, drafting a potential resolution, wanted to get P&F's consideration to recommend staff to draft an ordinance and resolution to review at the November 20th City Council meeting. I can certainly answer any other questions that are in the agenda items.
I'm fine with that, make the motion of that.
I'll second that. Yeah, I think it all looks good. I think, we want to be in line with other cities. Kind of curious to see what the SAC and WAC comes back as. I'm not a big SAC and WAC guy in general, but I just assume that would be zero, but.
I thought there might be one other thing I'll mention too, is the rental fees. We spent a lot of time on this one. We're recommending at this point, kind of preliminary, a sliding scale on it. Single family homes do take longer to inspect versus apartment buildings, so once you get into a 20, 30 unit apartment building, it goes much faster than 20 to 30 homes. So that's why we're recommending kind of a sliding scale, and that's how other municipalities do it as well, charge differently for single family homes. That's just what staff is preliminary recommending. I certainly did consult our housing inspector on
And I
time.
would say staff time too, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much are you raising the bee and chicken permit and duck?
Nothing. So actually lower it.
You're just proposing to
So
lower it?
we're proposing to raise it for a first time.
Yep.
At $60 and then lower it to $20 annual renewal instead of $40. It takes a little bit longer to get people
Also,
set up
after a
site
couple of
plans.
years, they're,
Yep, so then they're charging $20 each for a renewal to make it cheaper.
so over the long term, it doesn't cost them more, but we're getting the money up front because of
We're
the
getting
state.
money up front for staff time to do site reviews, site visits after the coops and runs are built, so.
Makes sense.
Perfect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Motion of electric distribution supervisor.
Good evening. On October 2nd, the council authorized filling the vacant electric distribution supervisor position as recommended by the BPU Commission. The position was posted internally with one applicant, Mitch Blackout, applying for the position. Per our employee policy manual, we offered him originally step 5, which was the lowest step with at least a 3% increase to his current hourly wage. In discussing this offer, it was noted that in addition to Mr. Lockhold's base hourly wage, he is also required by union contract to participate and is scheduled approximately every 6 weeks to receive standby pay that currently averages around $6,000 per year. Staff does not feel that overtime should be taken into consideration as it is unpredictable. However, scheduled work hours and pay should. Taking into consideration his required standby pay, and since he will no longer be eligible for that pay as an exempt supervisor with this promotion, staff recommended to the BPU Commission that Mr. Lockfeld's initial step placement for this position be step 6, which is $55.41 per hour. Mr. Lockfeld has stated he would accept that position at that wage. The Commission agreed with staff's recommendation, and with that, there were 3 recommended actions included. Would you like me to go over those?
No, we see them. Got a motion? I can do all 3 in one motion, I think.
I would just do all 3 in one.
Okay, second that. Any discussion? So we're including scheduled standby pages as a rule for promotions in the future. We're offering the job and we're backfilling the position.
Correct.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up, accept the retirement of Elaine Kramer.
Elaine Kramer is an administrative specialist in our fire department, and she recently submitted her retirement notice with her last working day being December 15th. Staff recommends that the council accept Ms. Kramer's retirement and authorize staff to begin the hiring process to backfill the position.
So move with regret.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Next up, recreation specialist hiring.
Recreation Coordinator Katie Coughlin resigned on October 13th. On October 16th, the council officially accepted her resignation and asked that the park board review the Recreation Coordinator job description and provide recommendations for consideration at the next council meeting. The park board met on October 24th and recommended hiring a recreation specialist instead of a recreation coordinator. The primary difference between the 2 positions is the education requirement, as the coordinator position requires a bachelor's degree. For the specialist position, a degree is a preferred qualification but not required. The park board also discussed options for overseeing recreational programs and winter seasonal temporary staff. City Engineer Public Works Dean is currently discussing the possibility of the YMCA or community ed assisting with those items. Well, but there'll be more information on that. This time, the recommended action is to approve the updated recreation specialist job description and to authorize staff to begin the hiring process for the recreation specialist as recommended by the board.
So move.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
I have a question.
Oh, any discussion?
Yes, please. Who does the actual hiring? Does the park board hire and recommend to the council? Or how does that work?
The hiring will be done by the city at
Okay,
this point.
okay.
The park board, with the charter change, does not oversee personnel.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, now we'll move on to consider approving interim city administrator agreement for Patrick Russell.
So on September 23rd, the council accepted City Administrator Berkman's resignation and directed staff to begin negotiations with Patrick Russo to serve as our interim city administrator during the administrator hiring process. During that October 23rd meeting, the general terms for the employment agreement were discussed. At this point, staff is asking for the council to approve the interim city administrator employment agreement with Mr. Russo effective November 1st, with the general items as presented, and to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
So moved.
Second, is it Wusso?
Also,
Wusso? I pronounce it differently every single time, Patrick. I'm gonna get it right this time.
yeah, your predecessor had that same problem, Teresa, yeah. But I answered anything but, no, I'll answer.
Okay, thanks,
Just don't
Patrick.
call him late for supper,
Yep.
okay?
There we go.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Approve GMP consultants to conduct a city administrative executive search. Chris?
So when the council accepted Jennifer's resignation, they also directed staff to research and provide proposals from executive search firms to conduct our city administrator search. We received 4 proposals. Staff is recommending to accept the proposal for GMP consultants for our city administrator executive search in the amount of $16,500. This recommendation is based on overall cost and previous experience conducting similar searches, including feedback from reference checks. We did verify with Sourcewell we are eligible for the consultant reimbursement program, and they will reimburse the city for 50% of the study costs up to $10,000. As Councilmember Terry had also asked, we did discuss this with BLADAC as well. BLADAC staff felt that this was not something they could do at this time to ensure a successful search. So the recommended action is a motion to accept GMP consultants for a city administrator executive search proposal in the amount of $16,500.
So moved.
Second, one question, Connie, the $8,250, that, we can absorb that just through the money we're saving on not having a full-time administrator?
Well, I think for 2023, we won't have a savings because we'll be paying on Jennifer's vacation
Oh,
or
yeah.
severance. And so with Patrick being on board, I think there'll be very minimal savings in 2023.
Okay, where's this $8,250 gonna come from then?
We'll have to come from the budget. I mean, we'll be over budget, or if we don't pay it until, we might only have to pay half of it in 2023 and the rest of it in 2024. We can put it in the 2024 budget.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a time frame for hiring? I mean, are we looking at 3 months, 4 months, or what's the common thing right now?
Their proposal says 12 weeks.
Okay.
That's to offer a position, and then that person will have to give a notice.
Yep.
So probably close to 4 months
3
before they
payments.
actually
Okay.
get on board.
Like
That's
I
why the
figured.
agreement was through
So the
February
first one would be this
28th.
year.
Which will be,
Because that'll be cutting it close then. Everything's gonna have to line up. Okay,
And to answer your other question, it's 3 equal payments, so the first payment would be this year, the other 2 would be next year.
okay, so it's, yeah, it's only a couple
And
$1,000.
then we'd get the grant money next year.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next, do we vote?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Next item is to approve library capital projects and request funds from Kitchi Regional Library Reserve Fund.
so in 2022, the Kitchigami Regional Library System, KRLS, developed a policy on how the local library branches can request to use funds from KRLS fund balance. The expenditure must exceed $5,000 and be capital in nature and must be approved by the Board of Trustees as well as the local library board and the City Council. The Brainerd Public Library Board combined 3 projects for an estimated total cost of $5,463. They are a battery backup to allow the library to lock and unlock doors when power is out, an audio system update so that announcements can be made inside the library and to conduct programming in the large meeting room, and a light for the American flag. They would like to move the light to the side of the building. The recommended action is to authorize the approval of the Brainerd Library Board projects and request $5,463 in funds from Kitchigami Regional Library Reserve Funds designated for the Brainerd Public Library.
I so moved.
Second, any discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Next up is the approval of deferment of assessments, Connie.
Yes. So we received 4 applications for pay year 2024 from 3 different residents. No new applications were received from residents, meaning that these residents have been approved for deferment in the past. In fact, one of the applicants did pay off the assessment, so there was only 4 instead of 6 this year. Staff has determined that all 3 residents meet the criteria that are set out in the resolution 3722. So the recommended action is therefore to approve the applications for deferment of assessments payable in 2024 for applicants PIDs 41191220, 413000628, and 412-50875.
I so moved.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Next up is discussion of the 2024 debt levy.
Yes.
Take a deep breath.
So when the debt levy was discussed in August, the preliminary levy was $973,341. Staff included the memo that was provided to council in August detailing how the levy was calculated. Staff did not receive any feedback from council on the calculation. Therefore, following the same assumptions used in August, when staff updated the numbers, the 2024 proposed debt levy is now $2,476. This is an $82,476 increase over the 2023 debt levy, whereas the preliminary levy was $53,341 increase over the 2023 levy. The council has discussed that we should have enough cash balance at December 31st to make the February 1st debt payments. The current debt calculation shows that the city does have enough to make the February 1st, 2024 debt payments. Staff took 98% of the projected cash balance after the February 1st payment and allocated it over the remaining years of the bonds to arrive at the proposed debt levy. It may be council's desire to use more of the projected cash balance for 2024 to lower the overall levy. However, this is a one-year solution and the debt levy will need to be raised for 2025. Staff detailed this out on the agenda using the 2023A debt issue as an example. Another option is to use the balance of the 2 debt service funds that are paid off. Keep it in the debt service funds to lower the levy. Historically, when the debt issue is paid off and has a positive cash balance remaining, the funds are transferred to the capital fund. This is about $74,700 for 2023. Staff recommendation would be to use this over time, like over 2 to 3 years. Otherwise, this again is a one-time solution for 2024. Staff does not have a solid solution for 2024. It is important to remember that there are lots of moving parts and the debt levy is just a piece of the overall picture for the 2024 levy. For a long-term solution, we need to explore and discuss future infrastructure projects and funding sources of these projects, which is being proposed by Councilmember Chezak for January 2024. The recommendation is to have the 2024 proposed debt levy be $1,02,476. Staff will be revisiting the capital levy at the next council meeting. Then we can see if the capital fund, without budgeting the 2023 transfer from the closeout of the debt service funds, will still be funded as presented. If council desires to save 50% of the paid off bond service funds, we're talking about a reduction of about $37,350. If we use 1/3, it'd be a reduction of $24,900. Either way, the debt levy would still be increased over the 2023 levy. Are there any questions for me?
Yeah, I was looking to get this lowered, not raised.
I know.
I think a lot of people would.
So we have significant cash balances, significantly higher than our principal and interest payments.
However, what we're using this is we're taking 98% just as a estimate, and then we're taking it over all the rest of the terms of the bonds. That's how we already lowered it $100,000. We use this systematically over time rather than all in 1 year, and then next year we need to increase the levy even more. So we're using it systematically over time rather than all in 1 year.
So what's the most harmless way?
Most harmless way, I think, is to use maybe the close out the debt service funds and use it like 50% or 1/3.
That's what I would say.
Yeah,
It's
That'll
still
be
going
less
to
financial impact on
It's
everybody.
still going to be higher than the 2023 levy, but it gets it to be about the same as what it was in August. A $53,000 increase instead of a $83,000 increase.
So I'm hearing you tell us that's the recommendation in a sense.
At this point, I would leave it at the $1,200,000. I want to do that
Okay.
until we revisit the capital plan to make sure how that, because we had a budgeted in there that we were gonna transfer that money in. And so when we get the Parks Board updated and all of that stuff, I wanna make sure that the plan can still fund itself before we make that recommendation.
That'd be fine with me.
I,
Is this discussionable or is this a motion?
yeah, you could make the motion. Sure.
You want a motion or you want just discussion direction?
You know, I think it would be nice to know what you're thinking. So a motion would probably be nice, but we're not setting the debt levy, so really it's probably more discussion item and general consensus.
Well, I think you know how I feel.
Yeah, and I think you know how I feel. We need $800,000. We have $1.6 million.
So I don't think we need a motion. I think it's discussionable, so you've got
But we're
direction.
using that over time. We're using it over time. That's how we're already able to reduce it by $100,000. If we didn't have that cash balance, our debt levy would need to be $1,123,878.
But we do have the cash balance.
We do have the cash balance, but as example, just using that one bond issue, we could take the whole 88,000 that we're projected to have at the end of the year, but then next year, we're gonna need to raise it by 88,000 plus.
Or maybe just 88,000, right, I mean, not
True.
the debt issuance is.
Well, we don't have to make that decision tonight. I think we do what's the most harmless thing tonight and keep the levy.
Well, it depends how you define harm,
Yeah,
right? Is a giant tax increase harmful to poor people? Yes, it certainly is.
yeah.
Especially when we have cash balances that could lower the impact on those fixed income households. But that's the recommendation, that's your motion, I'll second it.
Okay.
So we're leaving at the 1 million, see what happened with capital, and then probably use the debt service that are being paid off, that cash balance to
Once we
lower it
look at
over
the
2
capital, we
years.
could readjust that.
Yep,
Then that's what we're doing.
okay.
Okay,
Right.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Authorized submission of the state of Minnesota form.
Yes, so this item was tabled at the last council meeting, or was held over, no action was taken, I should say. We did receive a response from Lake's attorney, it was included in the packet. So I guess we're looking for, provide direction to staff on the form and or authorize submission.
I say we submit it.
I don't think we have anything to lose.
Nope, and I'm concerned that they're misappropriating charitable dollars, so. Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'd say.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
That's what we discussed last meeting.
Yeah.
If we're not gonna follow through with that, then why we discuss?
Right, and they responded and they said the same stuff they said before that has no legal grounds, so whatever. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. We'll adjourn at 7:12.
So what do I get out of this? Cause I seconded it. You made the motions, I didn't get anything.